Thank you for coming to, we're about to start the meeting, so thank you for coming tonight. And do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, Chair, we have one apology from Emma Price, the staff representative.
And any declarations of interest? No? Sorry, are the minutes of the last meeting correct?
Agreed.
And I think we've got Elizabeth Jackson online. Who'll be going through the audit results report.
Yes, I can start the meeting. Thank you, Chair. This is do the introduction, then I'll pass it on to Liz Jackson. This is the report about the 2021-22 statement of accounts we completed on the 7th of February, and this is audit results report of that one. And also tomorrow is the last day of the 22-23 financial year, and so soon we will be starting the audit work for the next financial. So Liz Jackson will be presenting the audit plan for the next audit. So I'll pass it on to Liz Jackson to talk in detail.
Brilliant. Thank you, Namashi, and through you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. So the first item, I've got obviously two items, as Namashi's just said. The first item is our audit results report, and it's the final version. So if you remember back, I presented it a while ago when the audit was still in progress. And this is just to really close that circle to say that all work was obviously completed and that we issued an unqualified audit report on the pension fund financial statements for 21-22 on the 7th of February. So this is really just summarising all the findings from the audit and just kind of confirming that we were happy with everything. Any amendments that were required were made. And then just to let you know that obviously all that work was complete and that we were happy with obviously the outcome to issue the unqualified audit report. That was all I was going to kind of say, because obviously lots of the issues in there have been seen already, and whether there are any questions on that before I move on to the 22-23 looking forward plan.
Do you have any questions? No? Okay.
No? Brilliant, thank you. So then moving on is our 22-23. So obviously the accounts that the pension fund is about to or will be presenting shortly in the next couple of months of obviously their hard work to then get the accounts ready. This is our outline audit plan. We've said it's an outline audit plan because it's not the full plan that you'll usually come to see at the Pensions Committee. And that's because we haven't yet done any planning for the 22-23 year. A number of our 21-22 audits are still in progress, and therefore we haven't quite started the 22-23 audits as yet. So this is our outline plan based on our knowledge from obviously the work up to February when we signed off the audit report. And for those who will be eagle-eyed for having read both reports, the risks are pretty much the same. There's been no change in the risks at this status. We've met with pension fund officers just to kind of talk through and see if there were any additional risks that we needed to kind of put in this outline audit plan, and there weren't. We will update materiality once we receive the draft financial statements, which will be later on in the year. And when we receive that, we'll update the figures. And so these ones here are the audited 21-22 accounts. And obviously they can fluctuate because the net asset statement does fluctuate in total value, and therefore the materiality is derived from that. Probably the good news for you, and just give you some assurance, there's nothing that's come to my attention kind of in those initial planning discussions that indicates that we need to change the kind of the metrics that we set materiality by. So the 1% of the net assets is likely to be the same level. There's nothing that's been brought to my attention that means we need to downgrade that and reduce the level of materiality. And in the same instance, for performance materiality, I can set it to either 50% or 75%. And there's nothing that's come to my attention from the 21-22 audit that indicates we've got more risk in the preparation of those accounts, and therefore I need to reduce that figure. So the expected level of testing is in the same areas as in 21-22 and kind of at the same risk profile is what I'm currently expecting it to be. Obviously, things can change as the draft accounts are produced and things progress, but at the minute, there's nothing bringing to my attention that I need to specifically set out for you as changes for the 22-23 year. And really, if there are any questions on that report.
Does anybody have any questions? Oh.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your report. Could I just ask you just to say a little bit more about the reasons why we won't be able to, or the report says you won't be able to start the audit for this year's accounts until very close to the September 30th deadline that we have for submitting them. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Yes, that is correct. We are planning currently to start your audit much later in the year, so in the autumn. Your officers have robustly challenged back to us about that timeline. They want to be brought forward. We are currently reviewing options available to us. I think at the minute the audit is positioned to be completed across the council and the pension fund by the end of this year, so by the end of December 23. We are currently looking at phasing and what works and whether we can bring it forward and move other audits that are earlier in the year back. The discussions to date have not been as productive as I wish, and we would lose a member of the team that I think is quite fundamental because they're booked on something else at that time. So it's a discussion that I need to have with officers to say, these are the risk profile, what kind of do we want to do? I think there will be very few audits that meet the 22-23 deadline as is. I know there's consultation currently ongoing to say that actually the 30th of September is, I think, I wouldn't use the word impossible, but highly unlikely for the vast majority of audits. For those kind of aware, there is a new national issue that is holding up the signing of 21-22 accounts that are not yet signed. So if we hadn't signed in February, we now wouldn't be signing for another couple of months because of a national issue that's arisen. And therefore that will have a delay on completing those audits and a